Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is a wildly unpredictable Tuesday, and we are diving deep into the latest Port Charles drama today. Grab a massive cup of coffee, because we have a lot to unpack regarding the current generation stepping into some very familiar, very dangerous shadows. Let's just jump right into the madness. Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and it is literally keeping me awake at night. I'm staring at my screen at 2 a.m., trying to figure out what the writers are actually doing with Danny Morgan right now. Here's what's bugging me. Danny is basically trying to become Jason too. And I know. We all saw the clip from the podcast, right? Steve Burton and Bradford Anderson were talking about this exact thing on their weekly show. Bradford literally asked Steve, "What do you think about Danny becoming Jason too?" And Steve just immediately shook his head and gave this incredibly stern no. And honestly, he is so right to react that way. But then again, that doesn't explain why the show keeps pushing Danny in this direction if the actor fundamentally disagrees with it. Or maybe it does, I don't know. It's weird. Really weird. The whole thing is just weird. Wait, let me back up. First, I should mention why Steve Burton's reaction is so important to this whole storyline. Steve questioned why Jason would ever want his son to join the mob because Jason's life has not exactly been a bed of roses. I mean, think about it. Jason has been near death so many times. I've lost count. He's been presumed dead a few times on top of that. The guy literally missed most of his kids' lives because he was either trapped, presumed dead, or on the run. Why would Jason ever want Danny to inherit that kind of trauma? Actually, no, it's not just about the trauma. It's about the brain injury. Okay, I know I just said the opposite, but hear me out. Jason's entire existence in the mob is predicated on a traumatic brain injury. When AJ crashed that car into the tree, it fundamentally altered Jason's brain chemistry. It affected his perception and his emotions. He became the perfect mob enforcer because he literally couldn't process fear or emotional attachment the same way a normal person does. He was numb. Danny doesn't have a TBI. Danny is a hyper-emotional, grieving, traumatized teenager who's acting out of pure desperation. If Danny tries to be Jason, he's gonna get himself killed because he feels too much. He doesn't have the cold, calculating detachment that kept Jason alive all these years. Or maybe he is developing it. Probably doesn't matter, but I noticed how blank Danny's face looked when he was talking to Sonny. Like he was trying to mimic his dad's stoicism. What was I saying? Oh, right, Danny's motivations. Let's be honest. Danny's choice to want to go to work for Sonny stems from the fact that he just desperately wants to help his dad. Jason has been taken by the WSB. He's sitting in federal custody right now, falsely accused of shooting Ross Cullum on Pier 55 because he's protecting Rocco Falconeri. But Danny doesn't know about Rocco. All Danny knows is that his dad is gone. Again, Jason is the only parent that Danny has left. Sam McCall is gone. Sam cut ties with the mob years ago, specifically in hopes of keeping Danny safe from all of this. And now, the irony is just suffocating. Sam spent her whole life trying to keep Danny away from Sonny's world, and the second she's gone and Jason is locked up, Danny runs straight to Sonny's front door. It's tragic. It's actually really, really tragic when you think about it. Anyway, the point is... Wait, what was the point? Oh, the point is that Danny believes joining Sonny is the only way he can bring his dad home. He's seen his father revert to mob business whenever he needs to fix a problem, and Danny wants to be able to do that same thing. He wants to be the hero. So he goes to Sonny. He literally goes to the mob boss of Port Charles and asks for a job. He wants to get in on the action. He wants to take the law into his own hands. And Sonny, to his credit, turns him down. Sonny knows that neither Jason nor Sam would ever be okay with Danny working for him. Sonny tries to steer him down a better path. But isn't that incredibly hypocritical of Sonny? Sonny has ruined so many lives, dragged so many kids into his orbit, and now he's playing the moral compass. I mean, not exactly, but kind of. He's protecting Jason's kid, but he's still the reason Jason's life is a mess to begin with. Actually, let's talk about Rick Lansing being there. Rick Lansing is suddenly back in the mix, and he's the one who shows up at Alexis Davis's door to pass along the warning about Danny. Rick tells Alexis that Danny came to Sonny hoping to bend the rules of justice, and that even though Sonny turned him down, Danny isn't going to let this go. Rick tells Alexis she needs to monitor Danny closely. And why is Rick the one doing this? Rick and Sonny hate each other. Well, they're brothers, so it's complicated, but Rick is suddenly acting like Sonny's consigliere. It's suspicious. But Rick is right. Danny is absolutely not going to let this go. Okay, wait, I need to talk about the eavesdropping scene because it is driving me crazy. Danny gets mad that Sonny and Rick are treating him like a kid, so he stomps off. But he doesn't actually leave. He hides in the bushes. Classic soap opera move, right? Just hide in the bushes. So Danny is in the bushes and he listens as Rick shares his perspective with Sonny. Rick suggests that Jens Sidwell is the reason Jason and Britt Westbourne were on that pier in the first place. Rick's theory is that Sidwell orchestrated the whole thing. Sidwell pulled the strings on whatever led to Ross Cullum getting shot, and Sidwell made sure Jason got shipped off to the WSB. Why to leave Sonny vulnerable? Because Jason is Sonny's number one guy. Without Jason, Sonny is exposed. When Danny hears this, you can literally see the gears turning in his head. He suddenly has a target. He's no longer just generally angry at the WSB. He's specifically fixated on Jen Sidwell. Danny now believes that Sidwell is the source of all of Jason's problems. And this is where I start to panic as a viewer. Because Danny is a kid. He is a teenager. And Jen Sidwell is a terrifying, ruthless, grief-stricken psychopath with a private army. Sidwell is currently blaming Sonny for his son Marco Rios' death. Sidwell is out of his mind with rage. He's threatening Ezra Boyle, telling him he's expendable. He's manipulating Mayor Laura Collins. He's dangerous. If Danny goes after Sidwell on his own, he is putting himself in grave, grave danger. But then again, that doesn't explain why Danny is acting so recklessly in other areas of his life. Like, let's talk about the car crash. I think it was episode 12 or 13, somewhere around there. The massive car crash on Route 91. We just found out that Danny and Charlotte Cassadine were involved in that wreck. Danny was talking about wanting to speed towards something fast because he's so full of angst and adrenaline, so Charlotte offered to let him drive her car on a joyride. And they end up in this horrific accident where Jordan and Curtis Ashford's car goes up in flames. Jordan had to swerve to avoid the car coming at her, which was Danny driving Charlotte's car. Wait, I just realized something. My brain is literally exploding right now. The parallels. Jason Morgan's entire life was defined by a car crash when AJ was driving recklessly. Jason crashed, got a brain injury, and became a mobster. Now Danny is driving recklessly, gets into a massive car crash, and is trying to become a mobster. Are the writers doing this on purpose? Is this a deliberate parallel? I mean, it has to be right, or maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes I give the writers too much credit. But the symmetry is insane. Danny is speeding toward a brick wall literally and metaphorically. And who is covering up the car crash? Carly. Of course it's Carly. Carly ordered Charlotte's damaged car to be repaired and sent back to completely cover up Danny and Charlotte's involvement in the Route 91 crash. Carly is protecting Danny the exact same way she used to protect Jason. She is enabling him. She thinks she's helping, but she's just teaching Danny that he can act recklessly, break the law, almost kill the deputy mayor, and get away with it because the mob family will cover his tracks. It's so toxic. It's weird. Like, really weird. The whole dynamic is just a repeating cycle of trauma. Okay, let me backtrack a second. What happens if Jen Sidwell finds out about Danny? Sidwell's already looking for ways to punish Sonny for Marco's death. Sidwell told Ava Jerome about his grief and his anger. If Sidwell realizes that Jason's kid, Sonny's surrogate grandson, basically is coming after him, Sidwell won't hesitate to kill Danny. He just won't. And Danny has no training. He's not a hitman. He's a kid who plays video games and misses his mom. He thinks he can channel his inner Jason and go after Sidwell in hopes of bringing his dad home, but he's going to walk right into a trap. I keep wondering if Ethan Lovett is going to get involved in this. Ethan is coming back to Port Charles soon, right? Like April 17th or something. And Ethan hates Sidwell because of what Sidwell did to Holly Sutton. Ethan and Sonny are supposedly going to form an alliance against Sidwell. What if Ethan intercepts Danny? What if Ethan sees this kid trying to play mobster and steps in to stop him? Because Ethan knows what happens when you try to play in the deep end without knowing how to swim. That would be a really cool dynamic, but I'm probably just writing fan fiction in my head at this point. Actually, no, first I should mention Jocelyn Jacks. Jocelyn is doing some serious digging right now. She's investigating Carly and Valentine Cassadine. She's pumping Cassius Faison for information. Jocelyn is on a warpath. What if Jocelyn uncovers the truth about the car crash? What if she finds out Danny was driving? Jocelyn hates the mob. She hates what it did to Jason, what it did to Dex, what it does to her family. If Jocelyn finds out Danny's trying to join Sonny, she might be the one to blow the whistle and stop him. But then she'd have to go through Carly, and we all know how that goes. Anyway, the point is, Danny Morgan is standing on the edge of a cliff. He is grieving, he is angry, and he has fixated on Jen Sidwell as the ultimate villain in his life. He thinks taking down Sidwell will magically fix his family and bring Jason home from the WSB. Steve Burton is right to say no to Danny becoming Jason too because Jason's life is a cautionary tale. Not an instruction manual. But Danny can't see that right now. All he sees is the empty chair at the dinner table. Will Danny listen to Sonny and stay away? Absolutely not. Will he go off on his own? Yes, 100%. He's already proven he's reckless by taking that joyride. He's going to go after Sidwell. and it's going to be an absolute disaster. I just hope Jason gets out of WSB custody before Danny gets himself killed. Okay? I need to go to sleep. My brain is fried. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.